Welcome to the Best You podcast, where we explore the journey of inner peace, harmony, and joy that comes from living authentically. Every week, we will dive into transformative conversations that describe both the way you can create behavioral change for yourself and how to create the conditions that promote peace, harmony, and joy around you. Whether you're seeking balance, deeper relationships, or a spark of inspiration, you're in the right place. In this episode of The Best You, Scott and I decided we would like to talk about how to get to a place of inner calm and peace. Because if we're calm and peaceful within, then we can create a calm and peaceful environment, or at least we have a much better chance of doing so. And in the past, we've talked about the behavior that we feel is most conducive to creating peace, harmony, joy, and flourishing in a good life. And it is often hard to get to those behaviors if we're not calm and peaceful. So I'm going to share my screen, and they can edit this out a bit. So let's just review what we're talking about. The ABC model we talked about in the first video of this series, that there can be an event, and in this case, an adverse event, but it could be a good event too, that will then elicit a behavior in us, whether it's a belief or thought, which will then lead to a feeling or an emotion and a behavior. So we tend to act from our emotions or from our thoughts. And then that results into a consequence, ABC. And we had also talked about that if we create that peace, harmony, joy within ourselves, we can create peace, harmony, and joy with others, and then peace, harmony, and joy in our community. And these were some of the suggestions, behavioral strategies that we talked about to be able to do this. And if you combine the two graphics together, for an adverse event, we really just recommend that you be present, you use both and language. So you have a good point and I have a good point, for example. Be curious and listen, and choose optimism to create peace, harmony, and joy. But again, being calm enough to apply these behaviors in a situation is really hard sometimes, especially in this world where stress is actually a public health crisis. So you may not know that the American Psychological Association in 2020 declared America in a mental health crisis because of stress. And this was pre-pandemic. So given that stress is so prevalent, how do we move into that place of cultivating calm so that we can adopt the behaviors that will create peace, harmony, and joy in ourselves and around us? So, Scott, would you like to share maybe your overall philosophy, or maybe just some of your the practices that have made the biggest impact in your life?
Sure, happy to share. But first, I want to just get back to what you were talking about in terms of just, being the foundation for a good life. One of the things I think we've learned over the years, and Sanna, I've worked with a lot of people, is, you can say, let's be joyful, let's be happy, let's get along. But if you can't find calm in yourself, if you can't somehow relax, it is just really hard to feel good. And if you can't feel good, it's really hard to feel good with other people. So I
And you
really
can't
truly
fake
believe
it. You can't fake it either, because people know, right?
that's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it's got to be real. And the good news is that we all have the ability to stay calm and to find that inner peace. But you've got to want to do it. And it's what's interesting about being a human being. I mean, I think at our core, I think the moment we come out of the womb, we're crying, but we want to survive. And if you really look at the history of time, go back thousands of years ago, our ancestors, I mean, we all survived, honestly, because we have this 24/7 alarm system that's built in, and it's always it's on edge. It's trying to be aware and trying to protect us. And so as long as you're aware of that you've kind of got this built-in alarm system, and then you've got a chance. But I will tell you, a lot of people are not aware, or it's not under control, and it causes a lot of anxiety, and it causes people's head to they have headaches, their heads spin, and I think part of getting calm, part of getting relaxed is I think one of the first things is just to understand kind of who you are as a human being. And the fact of the matter is we've all got this, and it's good because it has helped us to live for thousands of years. Our ancestors, and today, I mean, so many things that are good in our life is because we've been alert and we've been able to get things done. But the problem is it can oftentimes do way too much. And that's where some of the things that Son and I have learned about and have applied have been really helpful. And again, it is the foundation. It is the key to having a happy life. Is this peace, this calm, this relaxation. I will tell you one of the biggest things. This is not a religious podcast, but is faith. And I will just say, if you've got faith, and people who do have faith, I can promise you they they don't worry a whole lot about things because or they shouldn't worry a whole lot of things because they should believe that God's going to take care of things. Doesn't matter what religion, by the way. But if you have faith in God, it's amazing how when you're like, where am I going to get my next job, or where am I going to get my next paycheck, or my next friend, or my next meal? You just know that it's going to come. And guess what? It does. And so, I believe in God, and I do encourage people to one, figure out how they can connect with God in their own way. Find a God and connect with it your own way,
or,
and
or
uh, and then you
something or something greater than yourself, if not
something
God.
great. That's
Yeah.
actually the higher being. That's exactly right. Because AA, for example, is an organization that talks about the higher being, and but just something bigger than yourself that's really looking out for you. It's an amazing way to find calm, because then you don't have to worry, because things will be taken care of. But there are lots of other ways. I've done for many years now. I've done a couple of techniques in the morning. One is breath work, and it's amazing how breathing can control how you feel in such a significant way. When you truly take the time to breathe and let your body feel the breath. And there's lots of different types of breath work, by the way. But encourage it. It's a great way to start the day. It's a great way to kind of exude calm throughout your body. Another thing is meditation. And meditation also usually includes breathing, but it's usually that's just more of a calm breath, and it's focusing in on it, but it's allowing your mind to really relax. And I will just say there are probably thousands of ways, but those are three that I think have been really effective that I personally have used. Sana, anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah, but before we go to some of my practices, Scott, I've I know you pretty well, but I've not known you that long. And so my curiosity is was there a time in your life where you were not so full of calm inside? Were you ever a hothead and rash and um, um, impulsive and did things you regretted later, that kind of thing?
It's interesting. I think if people asked you about me, I do think that when I was younger, I um, I probably was less thoughtful, and I probably was more reactive about things. Um, but I also think that I probably held a lot of it in. And in our book, Less Stress, More Joy, the Peace, Harmony, Joy approach, we actually talk about in my early 30s, I got a new job, a new house, and had two young children. Um, and I was incredibly stressed out. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff back then. And I was so stressed out that I was walking around like a robot because my back was so tight. And I literally, this was constant back pain. And I will tell you, I went to an orthopedist who said I needed back surgery. And I mean, I had an x-ray and you need back surgery. And I'm in my early 30s going, oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Wow.
I went to a massage therapist. I went to a chiropractor. Um, I took muscle relaxants. I mean, all these things. And and I was, I mean, you'd be amazed all the different things my wife would walk on my back at night. I mean, it was all these things. And I had no idea what it was. But one night I was watching a television show called 2020 with my wife. And this guy named Dr. John Sarno was on there. And there were some famous people. And he had helped famous people with back problems solve them without any surgery who thought they needed surgery. And I went out the next day, got his book. And after having back problems for probably close to a year and thinking I needed back surgery, I read the book in a few hours. And by the end of that time, I did the exercises and like 85, 90% of my back pain was gone.
Wow.
And I tell you that whole story to say it's how amazing how powerful the mind is. And it's amazing how we can truly relax ourselves and get ourselves into a good place if we understand certain techniques.
Yeah. That's a great story, and I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing it. I also was just like very type A perfectionist for much of my life, and I was constantly stressing myself out. And that's not to say that I didn't have a lot on my plate or whatever, but a lot of it I put on my plate. A lot of my expectations were ridiculously high and uncompromising, and you might say, well, that's needed for excellence, but it's also a good way to kill yourself and to alienate those around you. And I ended up with a lot of chronic pain, and chronic fibromyalgia, which is pain and fatigue, and chronic headache, migraines, and and really it was just like Scott said. I mean, I was on these medications that were absolutely impairing me, my ability to put two thoughts together. My friends could barely recognize me, like I was so impaired. And finally, one day, I just was like, I got to get myself off of these things, and made a lot of changes in my life. And migraines are gone, fibromyalgia's 99% gone. Um, it's so true, and it all came with, just like Scott, finding peace within myself and having realistic expectations, and not being so judgmental, and being more in the present. So speaking of my own practices, I think for me, it's been really important to recognize when I get triggered. And sometimes it's very subtle. Like I've told the story about my late husband noticing when I'm triggered or stressed before I do. But when I feel it, I can feel just like a pressure in my body, and my body and muscles get tight. And if I don't notice that, then I just go around acting in this fear response without having the awareness of how I'm behaving with others. So the first is just noticing, and the second is knowing what sorts of things can make that better. So over the years, like Scott, I've developed a practice. So I take time out every morning to journal and to meditate and to pray and light candles and that kind of thing, to feel into my body, feel into my heart and my soul, what's most important to me, um, what are opportunities for me in this day, but also to manage things when I kind of spiral out of control. And it doesn't happen as often as it used to, or to the degree it used to, but I still do. And when I notice that, like I'm getting tense and tight, or I go into rumination or just a lot of repetitive thoughts, then I know it's time to whip out my emergency kit. And having a hot bath or exercise helps, or dancing, or talking to somebody that I trust. And also sometimes just asking the question, well, what do I need to learn from this? Like if I'm worried about something that I really have no control over, what am I worried about? And what is there for me to learn about myself in this situation? So if I'm afraid that somebody may not like me, well, I might do something about that. But if I've tried everything, and it's not working, well, why does this matter so much to me? Maybe my self-esteem shouldn't be wrapped up in what I think is somebody else's opinion, or I might be misinterpreting them. So I start to think about other interpretations rather than just jumping to a conclusion. So having this flexibility of thinking and taking different perspectives, and also like Scott's saying, like, okay, somebody not being real friendly to me is not like a saber-toothed tiger, coming into my house. So, is it really a problem? Is it really a threat? Um, why do I care so much about that? Can't I feel good about myself without that external approval? These kinds of questions. So when I see my discomfort as an opportunity for me to learn about myself and to move back into peace, is when I've made the most progress in creating peace in my life. That my metric for personal success isn't so much, how many papers did I publish? What teaching evaluations did I get? Did I get a raise this year? That kind of thing. And instead, that my metrics of success is my sense of peace and calm. And when I change my focus and my priority, then everything can change.
That's great. And it's again, it's amazing how powerful our mind is, and it's amazing how we have the ability to interpret whatever's going on in our life however we want to. And I applaud Sana for looking at the world the way she does. And we're all human. We're going to have moments of the things happen, but the question is, how can we snap ourselves or get ourselves back into a place where we have a gratitude because we're going to learn something from this situation,
Yeah.
or you compare it to, well, I got my health, I got my family's health. I mean, just putting it in perspective. I mean, there's so many ways that you can really pretty quickly get yourself into a calm place again. And I think the more you practice it, the better you're going to get. And I will just add, one of the things that I've learned over life, and son asked me what I was like when I was younger. I didn't do this when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've done it and done it more and more. But it's the way you start your day. It's having some like kind of rituals, habits, just a way to start your day in a calm way. And whether it's meditation, whether it's breath work, whether it's just closing your eyes and thinking about the higher being and talking to them, whether it's even taking some time to plan out your day, think about the meetings you have and kind of prepare yourself. I mean, that right there will give you some calm. But there's so many different ways that people use. You could go take a walk around the neighborhood and breathe the fresh air. There's just so many different things you can do to get yourself in a great place, a calm place to start your day. It's the foundation for all your experiences. Is if you're calm, you can do great things, but it's also the foundation for a great day. And just strongly encourage you to make it a priority to carve out some time. And before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, or before you take your shower, before you get in your car, before you just get into life with the real world, be in life in your own world, and get yourself in a great place.
Yeah. And thanks for the reminder for going into nature, Scott, because if you the best benefit when you go out into nature is to be present. So don't leave your electronic devices. Um, it's great to enjoy nature with others. It's also really soothing to go out to nature and be quiet and watch, observe, touch, use all your senses to feel. I think Scott talked about this in a previous video. Nature is so good for our health, all of our health, our physical, mental, and emotional, and even spiritual. And experiment with what works for you. Like, this did not come to me overnight. I tried things on and modify them, but find what works for you and make it your priority, and just keep remembering that it's all a process, and you could do a little better every day.
That's a great thing. I'm glad you said that, a little bit every day. If you could just try to get yourself 1% more calm every day, um, it doesn't sound like a lot. And so I think it's pretty doable for everybody, but it's just like a bank account. You put $1 in every day for a year. I mean, you have interest. I mean, it just accrues, and can think about it for a week, a month, a year, for the next decade. You'll be amazed how much better you'll get it having calm in your life, and just how much better you feel.
Yeah. And if you want more resources, then come check out our website at the Foundation for Family and Community Healing at healingedu.org. We have wonderful resources for being out in nature or getting to know yourself better or shifting your perspective. And you could also go to the peaceharmonyjoy.org website and check out the many resources there, including Scott's beautiful book, Less Stress, More Joy. So build your most peaceful life and your calming toolkit and be happier and more joyful. Thanks
You
for
all the
joining us.
best, and having lots of calm going forward.
Thanks, Scott. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Best You podcast. We hope today's conversation sparked some new ways for you to cultivate your inner peace, connect meaningfully with others, and embrace the joy of living in harmony. Remember, being the best version of yourself isn't a destination. It's a daily practice of growth, reflection, and kindness to yourself and those around you. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it for you to subscribe, share it with somebody who'd benefit, and leave a review to help us spread the message of peace and joy. Stay connected, stay inspired, and we'll see you next time on The Best You.